I was like, you shut down the whole world in symphony.
I had friends who were like, you don't let the government take this much power, they'll never give it back. And I was like, but surely they'll give it back. And I was wrong.
Losing my home was probably the most unsettling thing because I just wasn't prepared for it.
We literally destroyed a third of small businesses.
The mandates happened and I realized I couldn't do shit. I couldn't even leave my house. I couldn't go to a restaurant. I couldn't visit my mother in New York. And my kids needed barcodes to go to school. My kid's not a fucking number, man.
Past election, even Gen Z women moved right, which is shocking.
I think when that whole Joe Rogan thing happened with Neil Young, all these pictures of Neil Young all over my fucking house because he was my idol. And like, oh, I have to get rid of these pictures because I couldn't stand him after that bullshit.
I'm with Drea de Matteo, everybody. Welcome to Walk-Ins Welcome. A kindred spirit on the pod.
Hi.
I think it's yeah, everybody's been like, you two need to talk. You're gonna be best friends because I think we have a similar I don't know, trajectory, I guess. Similar transition.
We've been transitioning.
We've been transitioning.
This is what they're just trying to get the word trans in our mouths because we're going to be transitioning from all kinds of things. So it just has to be a really commonly used word all the time.
Yeah, they're like, let's get them to use it even when they get red pilled or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to transition away from this administration now too at some point.
Of course. Yeah. I think that's just the Gen X way. That's what I keep warning the Republicans about. I'm like, this is a fickle voter base, in case you hadn't noticed.
Thank God for the Gen Xers, man. Thank God for us. You're too young, no?
No, I guess I'm like technically in the cusp, but I think I'm firmly Gen X. I don't feel any millennial in my being whatsoever.
Yeah, your voice sounds Gen X.
Yeah, because I smoked when I was 13.
Me too. I'm going to start again. I just saw a study, and I don't know if it's true, but I'm going to rabbit hole the fuck out of it. Am I allowed to curse? Can I curse here?
Yeah, of course.
Is that bad? You have to bleep me out every 2 seconds, or we unused it?
No.
But they said that nicotine was always the antidote to COVID. I quit smoking during COVID, and I was deathly ill. Had I known that if I was kept smoking, because through every pneumonia and bronchitis I've had, the cigarettes are what kept me alive. I'm convinced. Yeah, it's my medical prescription.
So you've been just kind of making the rounds on podcasts and telling your story. What's going on? Where are you at today? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Did you vote for Trump? Were you openly a Trump supporter?
You know, it took me till the very last moment to come
I'm
out
the same.
and support. Because I just don't believe anybody ever. I do feel like it's, two wings of the same bird always. And if they're going to allow him the platform, even on Fox News, as the antagonist, then he must be allowed to be there. So I felt like, I just don't really trust the machine at all. But I did trust Kennedy because I followed him for years. Self-defense, because I have kids, and even though my kids are quadruple vaccinated against everything, which I deeply regret. And that was mainly because we went between two cities. We would be in New York and LA, and they would be like, well, they don't have the vaccine here in this state. And I'd be like, geez Christ. So, okay, my kids are now just filled with heavy metals. And that's probably why my daughter is really into heavy metal and death metal. And all
not a bad thing.
She's a real metalhead. But thank God I did everything staggered. I did it so late. So they're fine. But I'm
vaccinated my daughter staggered.
I didn't
not all of them, but like I'm doing the ones that I got.
Yeah, well, we got nothing really.
A lot of people aren't now, and I like, God bless them. I understand it. I wrote this whole piece about the new rise of anti-vax because I was working with autistic kids back in like 2000. So even before Jenny McCarthy, I was around this whole world of Anti-vax was very much a like left-wing thing forever. It was very like we'd
No.
get measles outbreaks in frickin' the Palisades,
Yes,
like
like hippies.
regularly.
The hippies don't want to put shit in their kids. And then all
No.
of a sudden it flipped.
Yeah, yeah.
Bizarre. Totally bizarre.
And now it feels more mainstream. I think a lot of people are questioning it, and I think that's good to like ask the questions and whatever, but I also like I don't know, maybe I'm just um it's like perception bias, like because I'm fine, my siblings are fine, their kids are fine. Maybe we just have strong, robust immune systems. It just was like everyone I know is fine. Although we didn't get like the 59 different, vaccines that these kids get. I still have been doing just like the very bare minimum because I think part of it is that we are victims of, in so many ways, um, having lived in a time where we didn't have to worry about these things.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even
So
talked about really. Like it wasn't just, there's just so much information now. It's like, how do you
I
not,
know.
it's like it's like the time of disinformation, yet at the same time, it's like, but it's information. Like, how do you
Yeah.
not go through it and decipher what's what and what resonates for you?
Yeah, and I do think ultimately the whole thing around COVID and the mandates forced a conversation that was probably long overdue around vaccines, the number of them, what's required for schools, why it's required, whether or not you should be allowed to, opt out of that. It's an interesting discussion. I think in Texas it's pretty loose, like
Yeah,
you can pretty easily get like a waiver to be like, "I don't wanna do this." They can't actually force you to get any of them
that's
in
great.
Texas. Yeah,
They're fucking
which I think is
crazy.
good. I mean, let people choose and whatever. I also I'm very much like, I don't want my kid to like, I would feel like a fucking moron if my kid got polio, like,
I had a rabbit
how
hole that one, but there's still a lot of crazy shit around that too.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it all. I mean, I had long conversations with Auntie. That's what I mean. I've been down this rabbit hole so many times
yeah,
before anyone else went down these rabbit holes that I really came to be pretty like okay with it, but very anti-vaccine mandates.
yeah. I mean,
And Auntie, like, we didn't get my husband and I both met in recovery, and so we were like, "We don't care. We're good." I got the J&J vaccine, and I was, like, dying the next day,
oh, you were.
and then it was the day that it got pulled off the market for, like, a week.
I still think that's the one that you're safe with. I still think that. Every one of my friends who has it, I'm like, you're fine.
I
You're
never got
fine.
another one again after that.
Yeah. One
But
and
that
done.
yeah, one and done, but
What
that
we
was
found out that that one wasn't taking people out, so they told people it was taking people out, and they got rid of it.
when there
That's
was
my
but
theory.
yeah, I see that theory, but when they suddenly started, mandating it, I was like, "Oh, hell no." I made a T-shirt, it was like, "This is my vaccine mandate," and it was just like the middle finger, I became I'm like, "You're gonna also create anti-vaxxers, by the way," which
Yeah.
here we are.
I knew they were going to mandate it. I had this fucking weird feeling about, I had a weird feeling about it from the very beginning. I was like, you shut down the whole world in symphony. The whole world falls in line. And then you think about how they, you listen to like some of these, sort of big unelected officials talking about how they'll manage to do certain things. And they say things like, we will infiltrate the cabinets. Well, they
Right.
infiltrated every fucking cabinet. They shut down the entire world. Everybody had the same politics. And it was, I was just like, yeah, this smells like shit. I'm going to wait. I'm going to sit this one out.
Were you kind of against it right from the like, for just straight out of the gates, were you just like, "Hell no," against even the shutdowns?
No, I was petrified. I was fucking cleaning. But my package is outside. I also got deathly ill at the onset. I was sick when the world shut down,
Mm.
with what seemed to be pneumonia, which was probably COVID.
Mhm.
I was really sick with that. And then 2 months into the lockdown, I suddenly got like 105 fever, like so high. I knew we couldn't go anywhere to a hospital, but I had this crazy fever, but no symptoms, no
Huh.
cough, no cold, just the most intense fever I'd ever had in my life for like 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
And I think that was in April because it was right around my son's birthday. And yeah, I was petrified. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Plus, I took care of the woman that was like my mom, and she was immunocompromised because she had a heart transplant. So I wouldn't let. We were used to face masks because of her.
Right.
Um, so I wouldn't let anybody near us. I was one of those families that was like, nope, nobody comes into this house. We see nobody. Their dad was visiting them on the street because he was more social, and I just didn't want anything near the old lady. That was me.
Yeah.
That was my main thing. But I knew I'd never vaccinate her because I just knew that it wasn't going to be good for anybody that was immunocompromised. I was like, why would you ever, fuck with somebody's immune system further? Like,
Right.
it just didn't add up for me. For other people, fine. I didn't really care what other people did. I wasn't that aware of the implications of it. I just knew that it wasn't. It was just like this visceral thing. If I do this, I'm going to get sick, and I knew it. I knew I'd have
Mm.
a bad reaction. I'm actually dealing with this little girl from the military who had the same feeling when they were like, you have to do it. And she was like, well, I don't want to. I have a bad feeling. And they were like, you'll get a dishonorable discharge if you walk away. And she did it and got injured. And she knew in her heart it wasn't gonna measure up with her. Some people it does. Everybody's a different constitution.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more that it's like what's good for you is great. Like I have so many friends that are fine, but I
Yeah.
know that I'd be fucking crawling on the ground if I would have done it. Like this poor kid, um, which Instagram just fucking shadow banned me over again because I posted that.
What is
That was
her
funny.
injury?
She got a massive vax injury. They're trying to say it's long COVID, but it's
Oh.
not. It was from the second one, and she got really, really sick. And when I fucking put it on my Instagram, they're like, "You're promoting drugs and alcohol usage." I posted a
Because
picture.
you were like, "Smoking will cure this."
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Smoking. I just found out that nicotine is the fucking antidote to COVID. You fucking idiots. But no, I can't believe that was their fault. And I ended up tagging like Instagram and Zuckerberg, all of them. I was like, fuck you. This is a veteran who took a shot for the country, and they took off her. I just noticed it yesterday. They deleted that as part of my ban, but I still have like 8 other posts where I tell the truth about something where I am shadow banned, but they got rid of hers. And I thought that was interesting because hers was the only time I had ever tagged all those people, and I tagged Kennedy and everybody. And I was like, look at this shit. And they took it down,
Oh, wow.
which I was surprised about. But
Oh,
anyway,
I'm sure
anyone who's
we'll have a
listening,
warning on YouTube on this.
we need to raise money for Lindsay. For Lindy in my bio, GoFundMe for Lindsay. She needs this crazy treatment now. She needs to be in this, but it's an amazing fucking treatment. So people should know about it. It's called the Spiro Clinic, and anybody that's out there that has because there's a lot of them out there. They're just not getting any real visibility. So anyway, you're gonna have
Mm.
to cut this whole part out of your podcast, and
No, we won't cut it
you
out.
have to cut it all out. Anyway, that was my advertisement for the day. GoFundMe, Lindsay's
I'm sure
GoFundMe.
Lindsay's GoFundMe or Lindy.
Mm-hmm.
Lindy.
Lindsay, yeah. This is why I left the business, Mike, because that was the first thing you asked me, why I was doing podcasts and news spots. I was promoting my brand Ultra Free, which is a t-shirt company, and we have some jewelry too now, like these sweet little guns and things, the
Oh,
protection
cool.
collection. But and this is our shirts all have like, let's see,
Oh,
Andy Warhol, crude. Look at Jesus Christ.
your tits look
The
amazing.
size of these fucking knockers right now. So hot.
They're enormous.
Tits. But I did it just to get out there and promote Kennedy. Because the way I said, Trump had a platform. He was, even though he was allowed to be the antagonist on television, on mainstream media. So
Right.
he was out there, but Kennedy wasn't. They never mentioned him until he joined Trump. They would not mention his name, literally nothing. So every interview I would do for Ultra Free, which I didn't really care about the line as much as I did care about people knowing what Kennedy was fighting for. I mean, as much as Trump says drain the swamp, blah, 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 blah. No one knows what the fuck he's talking about. Mainstream, like regular people that are, especially not Gen Xers and people who are not conservatives or Republicans. Like, I'm a lifelong liberal. So I'm like, I need the liberal 50-year-old woman to understand what he's talking about. Because if they knew what he was talking about, and if they knew that a vote for someone like Kamala to keep that regime going, that would have been a vote for 300 white men. There's no
Mm.
vote for, for the we the people or any of that. Who knows if there even is on the other side at this point, to be honest. But it's who doesn't want to make America great again, and who doesn't want to know the truth, and who doesn't want to stick together with the people, like for the people to come back together and to stop being divided. Because if we're together, we'll fight anybody who's in office, whether it's on the left or the right, as long as we're together. So that was why I have been nonstop on the news, and I fucking hated political activists in my world, actors, like when like Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon and like all of that, like when they would make fun of them in Team America, like that
Yeah.
was the greatest fucking thing ever. And then all of a sudden, here I am. Like I think when that whole Joe Rogan thing happened with Neil Young, I mean, I have
Oh,
like, all these pictures of Neil Young all over my fucking house because he was my idol. And
yeah.
now I have to get rid of these pictures because I couldn't stand him after that bullshit where he tried to suppress freedom of speech. It's like you get out there with this giant microphone on stage and talk about propaganda, war, and here you are, 100 years later,
Yep.
fucking being the anti-hippie, you know.
Yeah.
And I just found it so fucking interesting. And I guess I just couldn't help it. I was like, I mean, I got pushed out into the wilderness with the OnlyFans stuff because I did OnlyFans to save my house.
Yeah.
It's like a really
So
fucking
you're like me, you belong nowhere.
what? I
You're like
love it,
me,
yeah.
you belong nowhere.
No, they all hate me now.
No, the right won't have you either.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
they will. They
I'm a
kind
whore.
of will.
No, now I'm a whore. Now I'm a no good whore. But you know what? They've
Who
heard my
called
own.
you a whore?
No, they don't. I mean, I called me a whore,
Yeah.
but I'm not a
I
whore.
mean,
It's a fan page. It's a fucking Adriana Lacerva fan page. Like,
yeah.
it's just, I can't say or do anything on Instagram. I get fucking in trouble over everything. I posted a screenshot from The Sopranos of me and the lesbian tennis coach bending over, and I got flagged for that. I'm like, you show people's pussies on Instagram. Like, why the fuck do you care about my tiny little leopard underwear ass cheek that was on TV?
Yeah.
So they just hate Instagram hates me.
Yeah.
So
You're not towing the line.
yeah, I'm a big liar.
No, it's funny that you are out you say it as, like, being out in the wilderness. I have a similar feeling. The right's been more accepting of me, but it's more I think they call it now, like, barstool conservatism, which is, like, the barstool sport, like that Boston, like, um, not necessarily I think it's, like, the kind of liberals who fled the left and don't really feel like they belong on the right either, but still align more with a lot of the conservative stuff at the moment, like the new right, as they call it.
Yeah.
Um,
What about the dirtbag left? Have you heard of that?
What's the dirtbag
That's
left?
another movement. And there's some kid. I did some kids podcast in New York, and they're like Adam Friedland, or do you ever hear about these girls, the Red Scare girls?
Yeah, yeah.
They're supposed to be like this dirt. I mean, you know, because we all got these labels now for all these different podcasts and genres of, I don't know, political idea. I don't even know.
Homelessness. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the sound of the dirtbag left too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that there there's something, yeah, I think there's just a lot of people who really aren't down with either of the parties extremely, and you end up just having to kind of, like you said, you chose last minute. I think you realize at a certain point, a lot of people in my mentions, because for years I've been just like, I'm politically homeless, fuck everybody. And then they're like, "Be a grown up, you have to make a choice."
I know.
And, like, there is some truth to that, like, eventually it was like, I had a kid in between 2020 and 2024, those elections, and it definitely radicalized me in a way that I was not radicalized even in 2020, even being quite radicalized from 2016, because that's when I was really beginning my my, like, leaving all of my old ideas behind, and
You
the
ever
party
vote?
kind of. What?
Did you ever vote before?
I voted all the time.
Oh, see, I
Yeah.
never did.
Oh, yeah,
I
you're one
was
of
really
those.
like, I was really anti, like both.
Yeah.
We all suck.
Yeah.
So I never
I
did.
was very much just like a East Coast, born and raised kind of. My grandparents, I always say, were like the Kennedy liberals, they were just like those old school Democrats that, like, JFK and Jesus. I'm Irish Catholic. It was just like my grandmother worshiped like JFK and Jesus, I think, equally. And I don't know, I never really considered it. I had a lot of those preconceptions that have been kind of talked about ad nauseum by many people in this space at this point, myself included, just that the left were the good guys and the right were just these evil white guys who cared about oil, and had, like, I just had all of these perceptions in my mind. And even when I moved to LA, the first time I moved there in 19, oh God, was it like 99, 2000? I just remember I was dating a guy who was 20 years older than me, because of course I was. And at, at 20 in LA, and they would all sit around and they only listened to NPR, and they were, the conversation was very, like, elevated. They were from all over the world, and I thought I was so metropolitan, and it never occurred to me for a good probably 15 to 20 years how much of a bubble I was in. It did not occur to me that it was the water that I swam in. I never, just how ideologically similar everybody actually was never apparent to me, because they would have debates about things, but not really.
I don't
It
even
wasn't.
know if I can remember a debate between like my Republican uncle and my liberal parents. And, you know, we all adored each other no matter what the
Yeah,
politics were, obviously, but that doesn't happen now. But I think that we really believe that the intellect of like the artists and the free love people, like, that are really lived on the left. Like, we thought we were
yeah,
doing the right thing. And what I found, I think now more than anything, and I say this to my daughter a lot because if anything, she pulled me over to the right.
yeah.
Why
Those kids are based.
she pulled me over to the left first. You know, she would get really mad when we would make like any kinds of jokes at the dinner table. I mean, Irish Catholic. I mean, Italians. I mean, everybody's fucking fair game in my house.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are at my table, and it can be every race, nationality, culture, religion. We are going to take the piss out of each other all day long because it's
Yep.
fucking fun. And you're a comedian. I mean, that shit should be. That's just you. can't fuck with that. You can't fuck
No.
with funny. Funny is funny, and you got to leave it alone. You know.
Yeah. Getting in shape can be so hard. Most of us have struggled with it. That's why the Caliber app has been life-changing for me. Caliber is a strength training and nutrition coaching program that's completely personalized to you. Through their app, you get paired with a personal trainer on a fitness program and nutrition plan completely customized to your goals. Whether it's muscle building, weight loss, ditching the dad bod, or mom bod, your trainer is there to help you achieve your goals and get the body you want and deserve. And get on board before the new year. Don't wait until the new year. I know the holidays are coming and everybody gets the effort, but now is the time to double down, not give up. We've arranged a special deal for our Walk-Ins Welcome audience where you get $100 off for the first 3 months. Go to caliberstrong.com/walk-ins. This is a great deal, and you get a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not happy with the program. So just click the link below to get signed up. That's caliberstrong.com/walk-ins.
I'm supposed to go to China in 3 weeks, by the way, and right after Christmas.
I'm surprised China's letting you in with all your wrong think.
I don't know, dude. I'm so nervous, and it's my daughter's school trip, and I'm not letting her go alone. Like last year, they were supposed to go to Israel, and they canceled the trip 3 days before the event over there. But then she switched to Germany, Switzerland, while Davos was in session, and they're taking them to the CERN. And I'm like, fuck no. She's like, I have to go. I'm like, then mommy is fucking going. I put myself in another area of the airplane. I think I had COVID again. And I stayed in a bunch of really nice hotels with spas while she was doing everything. But the one place I followed her to was the CERN.
That's cool.
And she didn't know I was even there. I was in every classroom walking behind her like a fucking psycho, That was that. And I brought my son and my boyfriend, and they were like, you're really fucking crazy. I was like, I know. And we're going to China if she's going. So that's what's happening right now. I don't really feel like going, even though I think it's going to be very awesome and beautiful. And so we were thinking about going to Nepal and staying in the Himalayas, and I was like, oh no, this is getting out of control. But back to what
I'm saying. That's fun.
I know, but it's 12,000 feet in the sky. And my boyfriend wants to take one of those puddle jumper planes to this hotel that is up in 12,000 feet. And I'm like, no, I can't fucking do it. And I even showed it to my son, and he's like, no. I mean, he's Waylon Jennings' grandson. I'm like, Waylon Jennings, he dodged a bullet. He didn't get on the plane the day the music died with Raleigh and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens. I'm like, I'm not putting this. Like when I was with their dad, I was like, we're never taking small planes. And so I'm going to put the littlest Waylon Jennings on a small plane. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no.
We're not going to Nepal, even though I thought it would be cool while she was in her school trip. At least I'd be on the same continent as she. But
so she pulled you to the left because of those jokes, and then how did she pull you to the right?
I mean, Black Lives Matter. We were basically boarding up this house because there was a threat by the Antifa peoples that they were going to burn down the mountain. And there was all this crazy action happening in this mountain. And
was this 2020?
Whatever, the very beginning of the BLM movement, the very beginning.
I was in LA. It was fucking nuts.
It was
people
nuts.
Don't know how nuts it was in LA.
It was I didn't know the house though, because it was still COVID. It was still pandemic season, but then all of a sudden the pandemic's over and everyone's fucking, this was like, I was like, is this just an excuse to get out of the fucking house?
I think it was.
What's going on over here? But
so they were going to burn down the mountain?
There was a threat, and then I called somebody I knew who was a reserve policeman because I thought it was bullshit. And he said, no, dude, it's true. So, but don't worry, the whole mountain's covered. We're working overtime. There's all these people in place, but it is a true threat. It's really fucking, that's the word on the street. I said, holy shit. So now one of the neighbors sent on a thread, because we were having meetings on the mountain, and he sent on a thread, listen to this lady speak. And it was Candace Owens. And no one knew who she was. She was brand new. Nobody. This is not somebody who was out there in the world. Had been, and if she had been, none of us knew who she was. This is a mountain of fucking Democrat hippie lunatics here.
Yeah.
And he sends this, and I start, and I'm sitting at the dinner table, and I go, wow, what are all these neighbors getting so mad about? And they're writing to him, you're a racist piece of shit. I'm like, she's black. I'm like, she's fucking black. Like, why is he racist? What's going on? And my daughter goes, look, can I see? And she's looking, and the last thing had happened was Don Lemon was on TV, and he says, you're racist if you're white and you're not posting, and you have a platform and you're a celebrity and you're not talking about what's happening here. You are a racist, or silence is violence, or whatever the fuck they were saying
Yeah.
at that time. And my daughter's friends are all Hispanic and black, and I'm like, and she's little. She doesn't remember this. She gets mad when I say it, but she was like, Mommy, am I racist? Are we racists? And this would continue through the Ukraine war. Mommy, what's going on there? Like, I need to understand what's really happening there. So, that was another situation where I was like, I better do my due diligence here. Like, I don't normally pay attention to a lot of these foreign conflicts and stuff. I'm living in my actor's bubble. Like, I'm just going to read some literature today and maybe some poetry and, like, fuck off, living in a.
I think we should go back there.
I
We should
know.
go back to that bubble.
I always say, I'm like, you guys should have just given me a script to memorize, and I never would have said a fucking word. But now that I can't work in your industry, this is the script I've memorized. And
You're like, I'm ultra free now, bitches.
Yeah, I'm like, now you send the fucking, the FBI is going to shoot me in the woods like Adriana. I mean, that was the mafia, but they probably would have protected me in this case. But she said to me, can I have that video of that girl? And I said, sure. And I sent it to her. And so now I'd see her watching Candace Owens videos regularly. And I was like, wow, and now she's all the way back to the center, but
right.
listens to both sides on certain issues.
Right.
She just has like this incredible understanding of everybody's stuff. And then sometimes I'll argue with her, like, because I'm out there fighting all day and losing everything while I do it. And I'm like, but Bama, at some point you can't accept that a bunch of liberals, which there's got to be a new name for them, because they can't even call themselves liberals, because they really are extremely authoritarian, but they want war, they want censorship, but the only and they're also not like these. And this is what I was trying to say before, like, where did the intellect go? Like, how can you not convince one of your best friends or one of your buddies that is so fucking smart, so intellectually up there, New Yorkers, because I'm from New York and I grew up in the theater and like all around all of that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, most people I know are only going to vote and focus on something so short-sighted as abortion. And then my daughter told me where Planned Parenthood came from. I didn't even fucking know these things. My great-grandmother was an abortionist in 1950s Harlem. I was a pro-choicer my whole life. Like, and now I'm here fighting against the system that is only voting based on abortion. And I'm saying, don't think about that right now. Like, you're about to lose all other kinds of freedoms while you fight for this one freedom that it's a bullshit freedom right now. Like, I mean, women don't like when I say that, and I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she also agrees with that. She's like, oh, these people they're going to vote for just because of abortion and not care about anything else that's happening.
I had a tweet that I was like, bitches love abortions.
They really do.
I never underestimate it.
I get it. I was a kid. I wish I would have known I had another choice. I didn't even know I had another choice. Look, this is what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be interesting. I was thinking about this getting ready to talk to you, just about how much our children influence us, particularly when they're teens and that teen because I have a young child, but she's not able to partake in the world, but you look at
She's lucky.
well, not yet. She already is though. She wants to. She'll have a podcast in like 2 years. She but I have siblings and family members who have they had kids very young and they have she had one of my siblings has, older kids, like, in their young 20s and teens, and she's been through it. She's like a veteran. Like, I laugh at her because she's like, "Oh, all these parents who think they know everything with kids under the age of 10, like, get fucked." She's like, "Talk to me when they're in their teens and
You see,
talk to me when they're."
how many of you are there being an Irish Catholic?
My dad's one of 10 and I'm one of 5.
I love it.
Yeah. And my mom's Italian French,
Oh,
so I've got Italian in my blood too.
you're
It's the
perfect. Picture
it's the
perfect.
no. I don't think I'm glad my daughter has some of my measured husband's genes, which are more like German and and every time she gets mad and throws something, I'm like, there's the Italian. like like whenever she just loses her temper and throws something across the room, he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Well, A, it's a toddler, but B, it's also Italian."
It's true. We're fucking crazy.
Crazy.
Mhm.
She's got it. She's got the crazy female bloodline that we all have. But it is interesting because I watched her go through the Trump years with her kids while they were in high school. I watched her go through a lot. So when this generation came of age, I was like, Gen Z is voting for Trump. Like know enough of these kids and I've seen what they've gone through and had teachers breaking down during the Trump years. Then they were locked up. Then they needed to get 17 vaccines to go to college. I mean, these kids have been through a lot and they also have access to all kinds of information, whatever, all the variations of information that you can get and they're savvy. Like they're not they really respond to authenticity and like him or hate him, Trump is authentic. He's an asshole, but he's authentically an asshole. And
So
I
am I.
think yeah, but I think people respond to that in this time more than whatever, weird. And as I've mentioned many times before, I do think that the Democrats Bud Lighted their brand. They went all in on this stuff and then they tried to backpedal to get to the center. And the center was like, fuck you. Like, we don't believe anything you guys are saying because you've been saying all of this for 8 years, basically.
Yeah. Especially
So
with
I
the
think
boys. Especially with the boys.
yeah,
Too much.
especially with the
Too much.
boys, but I don't know, even the girls went right. Even when you look at all the voter numbers from this past election, even Gen Z women moved right, which is shocking.
The dumb, uneducated women voted for Trump, remember?
Oh, yeah. But then they're saying that I mean, it's wild to me. It's like
We're the dummy.
that we are the dummy. I mean, I am technically. So I was talking to Patrick Ruffini, and he's a pollster who basically wrote a book predicting what happened, which is the working class moving right. And so I had him on the podcast recently, and he was like, there are people out there who voted for Obama and then voted for Trump. I'm like, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Like, you are talking to one of those people right
I
now.
voted for Biden. He was the first vote I ever, the first time I ever voted was for Biden at
Oh, wow.
my daughter's request.
That was the first year I didn't vote for a president. I just abstained completely. I left the Biden Trump. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I voted for Hillary though.
Oh, oh, that's tough. You
I
know,
just didn't even care. I was just like,
yeah,
I was like,
I
whatever.
followed
I hadn't like
really.
really considered anything at that point in my life. I just voted Democrat.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Everybody.
I
I think
left
that
that.
was when I started to be like, But I was also such a super anti-Bush, but I there's a music video that I directed with my ex. He did a concept album about the Bush administration, and it was fucking insane. Um,
Yeah.
there was a video that we directed called Summer of Rage, and it says in it, and this is 2010, and my daughter is the star of the video. She's like 2 years old. She's walking around the house, and her parents have been kidnapped. And it is the first morning after martial law has taken over and the New World Order is set in, and they assassinate. Hello, hello there, Mister. And they assassinate my dog. And for people who
I
can't see,
know, he's so cute.
but they assassinate the DJ who's DJing, because the whole concept album is Stephen King, by the way, DJing. We asked him to do it because he was a fan of my ex's. And of course he said yes. It was the Bush administration. Imagine, and we joke around about it, imagine asking him to do it for this last administration, which is the exact same administration, basically.
Who's your ex? Sorry, I
Shooter,
don't know.
Shooter Jennings.
Oh, okay.
Shooter
Okay.
Jennings. And this video, that people can look it up, it's called Summer of Rage. And it says in it, the gas mask is the couture in the summer of rage. They're building mass graves. You and I, they'll vaccinate. And the song is fucking eerie. And then in the lockdown, we got stuck with my current boyfriend's album. He was in a band called All Them Witches that he founded. He's since left. But we did their music video, and I was like, let me get a shot at it. Let me get a And I made a continuation of Summer of Rage with this other song, which doesn't have much to do with the pandemic the way Shooter's song did. But my son stars in that one, and it's all about this little boy who can't breathe without a gas mask on.
Mm,
Because I call that era the I can't breathe era, between the George Floyd thing and
the
the
masks.
masks. It just was, I feel like it should be labeled the I can't breathe era, basically. And the whole video is about him thinking he can't breathe because progress is going so far, and we use the nuclear family as sort of the microcosm for it, where the husband leaves and leaves me and my son alone, and he's in search of progress, and the whole thing is about progress over family, over value, over life,
Mm.
over mother nature, because my character dies at the end. It's like a 10-minute fucking video. It's a short film, and we shot it on 16 millimeter film. We were like, what do we do in this pandemic? We need to do something creative.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
made this continuation of vaccinations and air not being able to breathe and leaving children behind, and it's pretty nuts. That video
That's
is called
cool.
Rats in Ruin. If you guys want to check that out, Rats in Ruin.
Oh, I like it.
Summer of Rage.
I like how creative you just revert to when you're it's like when we were grounded, we used to make videos when we were kids. We'd get grounded, and then my sister and I would make videos that we still have that are hilarious, like these long videos of us with these elaborate stories. And it was like what we would do when we got grounded. It was kind of like the government grounded you and you made a video.
Nice. I felt like there was just no art during this. The whole There's been a cultural halt, like,
Mm,
in our little cultural revolution that we've been experiencing. People are afraid to make art that leans any which way. I mean, there were tons of amazing artists that were supporting the Kamala thing, which was mind blowing to me, to see people like Cindy Sherman and like all these like incredible artists and photographers that wanted to support that side. And I'm like, but wait a minute, if you guys would fight against that side, the art that would emerge, like it's a lie. Like, you guys are feeding a lie that does, like, imagine what art might be born out of finding out the truth finally about what we've
mm.
been fed for years. So yeah, I remember being in some Twitter space or stuff, and everyone was talking about how art is dead, like the music industry's dead, film is dead, nobody's taking a risk, everybody's afraid. We're living in this weird safe, um it's weird.
It
Yeah.
is weird. It's weird coming from where I think you and I came from in the 90s and early, there was a lot of anti-authority. That's why I didn't that's what I was all on board with the, like, 2 weeks to stop the spread, and I had a lot of my audience push back against it, and people I respected, and I was like, "Huh, me I'm probably not right about this," and I wasn't, and I still am like, "Sorry, guys, was totally wrong about that one." I didn't I learned a lot. I learned about even being anti-authority, how much I still I still thought I don't know, I still thought, like I had friends who were like, "You don't let the government take this much power, they'll never give it back." And I was like, "But surely they'll give it back." And I was wrong. I was very wrong. I learned a lesson I don't think I'll ever as anti-authority as I was, I still thought in that instance that they knew more than they knew what was best.
Yeah. Oh,
And
well, you want to look somewhere for something, like any type of security, especially while we were so afraid. I mean, I was afraid. I wasn't like, this is all bullshit. But I did go down 7,000 rabbit holes to figure out what, I wasn't gonna, I put my research hat back on and I was like, holy shit. Is it possible that they're doing all of these things too? Now, there was so much information. It was scary and overwhelming.
yeah, I remember it was a rabbit hole that alerted me to COVID. I think it was like, when did Kobe was it when Kobe died? Did he die that January? Was it January of 2020?
I mean,
Hold on.
I've been hearing weird stories about that too now, by the
Well,
way.
I don't know, yeah, it was. So, I was going down I was just, like, obsessed with that death for whatever reason. It was very sad, and I was kind of in bed, and I was doom scrolling about it, and then I would started seeing stuff about China, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on in China?" And no one was really paying attention to it. This was like late January, early February, and I told my husband, I'm like, "This is gonna go global." And he was like, "Bridget, you're being ridiculous. It's just some" I had that feeling. I was like, "No, they're literally welding people into their homes in China."
Was
Like,
this
some
before?
this was February of 2020, and I told my husband, I'm like, "Go get a gun. You need to go get it." He was like, "You are being so ridiculous."
Yeah.
And we weren't even, married yet. We were engaged. We were newly engaged, and he was like I was, like, introducing him to my level of psycho and prepper that he has come to, know and
Appreciate it.
love. Somewhat. He in some instances, I'm sure I'm wrong, like, they say about these, like, gut instinct things, you only remember the wins, but in this instance, I was definitely like, "No, this is gonna go big. This is going global," and I don't know what I thought. I guess I didn't realize that you could shut the whole world down like that. It didn't occur to me that that was even an option. I just thought we'd have to deal with this bad thing, and then when they started shutting things down, I was like, 2 weeks isn't a big deal. Let's just, like, figure out what's going on. And I had like, I remember a friend of mine, Jesse Kelly, who's like a conservative radio host, was like, "This is fucking madness. You don't shut down the economy. This is a cold." He was like very against it. And he and I kind of got into a debate about it. And then I was like, "Jesse, you were right." He was right. He was like,
Yeah. I
he
didn't
was
know.
right. I mean, we
I was
we
down.
literally destroyed a third of small businesses in that time.
That is the most upsetting to me, and especially to hear what's her face like, "I'm here for the fuck you. You're not here for
No,
shit.
you're not.
Fucking close them all down." That was the biggest bone of contention for me, and the frontline workers, and
Yep.
those were the big. And I think that's part of the reason why I started getting so vocal too. Was like, okay, I have my house that I can sell if anybody will buy it, and I can get myself out of my hole. But I also believed, like all of this forbearance stuff, they're going to take care of you, blah, blah, blah. I took these forbearances. They ended up putting my house in foreclosure over it. So it was all a fucking giant scam when they wanted you to pay
Uh,
them back quadruple of what they fucking lent you at that time, or what they, your mortgage, where you bypass your mortgage for a few months. But I as hard as it was for me, and it was the hardest time in my life. I've lost family members, you know, losing my home was probably the most unsettling thing because I just wasn't prepared for it. I didn't, it was just so abrupt having to pack everything up, get the kids out of the house so people can come look at your home to buy and
Yeah.
live. It was just intense. Um, but yeah, we believed all the fucking hype in the beginning, but with tons of skepticism, but we still went along. We played ball, every rule, everything, until the mandates happened, and I realized I couldn't do shit. I couldn't even leave my house. I couldn't go to a restaurant. I couldn't visit my mother in New York. I mean, they were on a barcode, strictly barcodes in New York City. That's weird. My kids needed barcodes to go to
Yeah.
school. My kid's not a fucking number, man. You know,
Yeah.
so just the way the entire world changed so fast, and they used the pandemic to reset it, with all the social issues and all of the other things that sort of grew out of it, from psychotic abortion rights to trans to BLM to like just everything became exaggerated. It was
Yeah.
this weird, it almost felt like some spiritual, satanic, like where are we going with all the things we fought for? We fought for these things, and now we're losing sight of what the actual fight was and making an aberration out of fucking everything.
It
Um,
was dark, yeah, for sure. Like,
Sure.
there's definitely yeah, it definitely felt like but I don't think America really played ball with it. That was one thing that gave me a lot of hope, was seeing people who Americans, like, for all of the criticism that we get for not being collective enough and not care, it's like the defining trait of America is this the individualist spirit that we all have, and it can be at its worst very selfish. Although I think at its best, it's a kind of level of defiance that that the average American has. It's a very pioneering spirit, and in the end, I do think that won out. I mean, even this election,
Yeah,
for whatever people might think about it, I believe it was that reactionary pioneering spirit to this feeling of that global encroachment on the rights in our own country from these places that were kind of determining our lives from afar, that people were just not playing. Americans were like, no, fuck you,
yeah. I mean,
left
I
and
didn't
right.
know. I mean, when you grow up, I mean, when you're surrounded by all liberals all day, you don't know that there's going to be a chance of it. I mean, I'm in the middle of liberal insanity, and I still consider myself a liberal for the most part. But I didn't know that, and I also didn't even believe that she was getting as many votes as she was. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to believe in. Like, Trump might not even be the fucking savior of the country at this point, but people want to believe in something. They want to believe in a hero. They want to believe in, they want to be patriotic. Like, we got so far away from the love of our country, which is like, I was seeing it more as like, so this intense self-hatred. Like,
Mm.
people were, and kids are being raised to not love themselves. I mean, you were saying individualism and people's unique nature. Like, that was part of the reason why I hated what they were doing with the LGBTQRSTUV thing. I felt like my gay friends were so like different and fucking awesome in who they are. And like, I don't want to, oh, somebody's fucking calling me. I don't want to make everybody the same common denominator. I like
Mhm.
that I've done things that separate me from other people, and I feel like everyone's individual nature is beautiful and amazing. Like, let's celebrate those things. Let's not try to make everybody the same, which we all know where that's headed. That's just towards some socialist communist identity of, it just never fucking works. But I also feel like Americans are so anti bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm fucking even holding this. we're anti-bullshit. So, you know, but I felt like watching like the farmers in the Netherlands, you know, raging against what they were trying to do to the farmers. I'm like, how are we not doing that here? Why are we
Yeah.
so complacent? Why are we so fucking quiet? And that was worrying me. So I was worried for a while, but I said this after I saw, what was it, like Joe Scarborough, like all these fucking, The View, like all of these people and their bullshit. The real superstars that came out that influenced this election, I think, were the minorities. It's funny to see all these fucking 50-year-old white liberal women attacking and antagonizing Hispanic women, Black women that
I know.
wearing like MAGA hats. And I'm like, oh, you virtue signaling bitches, you were always the fucking racists. You
Yeah.
guys were the fucking racists, not the fucking people on the right, not people who care about the price of their milk or whatever the fuck, you know, these are like all the things that people say now, even though it's so much deeper than that. And it goes way into the unelected officials and the deep state shit. But as far as just like a normal American experience, it's true. They fucking really rose up in ways that, you know, it's exciting. And I
Yeah.
want to believe. And like, I was about to buy all this Trump wrapping paper for Christmas. Because a lot of friends have even said to the kids, like, wow, so, you know, we never thought we'd get on board with your mom. But I think we've realized that she's right about a lot of the things she's been saying on the news and stuff. So we're coming around, people that would have never. Um,
Yeah.
and this was before the election, because that was, I would spend hours a day just talking to individual people. Like, this is what's going on. Like, I know that you guys might not have a chance to research it, but I got nothing but time. So let me share with you what I learned, you know. But
Do you think that Hollywood will pivot like back, or is
oh,
it done?
they're fucking idiotic. I can't even believe I would put anybody down this way. And this is where I get into the arguments with my daughter. She's like, you have to understand where people are coming from. Like, I don't fucking understand where a 70-year-old woman is coming from, where she's still only concerned about women's rights and abortion. And she's sitting on a pile of fucking money, eating her fucking bonbons while everybody is dying out there. How
Yeah.
do you trust that voice at this point? And how are you so irresponsible and self-righteous? I'm like, how about becoming righteous? Fuck your self-righteous bullshit. So this Hollywood thing, or I'm leaving, because listen, if you want to leave the fucking country because of, you know, whomever was elected, and you have enough money to do that, no one should have been fucking listening to you in the fucking first place.
Yeah.
I got really sort of enraged about these celebrities. You know, I guess I never was one in that respect. And people make fun of me and make fucking stupid comments because I'm part of Hollywood, I guess. But I never felt like I was part of it to begin with. So I didn't give a fuck about walking away from it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I really just I care about my kids. I care about my neighbors. I care about my friends, and I care about the truth, like a lot, maybe too much. I mean, I even have an old tattoo that says "No liars" on the back of my arm because I really care that much.
That's really interesting. Why didn't you feel like you were a part of Hollywood even when you were a part of it?
I guess because I'm anti-bullshit for the most part. I feel like
Yeah.
it's all bullshit. I also
It's
don't.
bullshit.
I just don't. My worth isn't tied up in that place. And people, you know, people said a lot of mean shit to me when I started the OnlyFans thing, or when I started
From the left?
everywhere. People are fucking
Oh,
crazy. You know, people were talking about calling child services on me over my kids because my son edited a photo of me in like armor, like where I'm like a superhero,
yeah.
and it showed up in an OnlyFans thing. So, you know, and I'm like, you can't read fucking people's comments about anything. It
No.
is the death of your own spirit. It is horse shit. It's meaningless. If you don't know who you are, and most people who go into our business, they don't know, we don't know who we are yet. I mean, a lot of us are, if anything, looking for some kind of validation. You need the laughs. I need the tears from people. Like, I need to make people feel something. Musicians want to unite everybody and have this big common universal language and everybody cheering. You don't want to be in an empty room where no one's reacting to
God,
anything.
I mean, it's interesting, like, I feel so much more selfish about it than that. Like, it feels to me like I have no choice. Like, writing feels like I've always felt like I had to do it. It didn't feel like I care. I guess I care that people read it and it affect, but this is I don't I feel much more selfish about art in general. Even like comedy, I I guess it's like the goal is to get laughs, but I'm such a reluctant comedian because I really had to get to a place where I'm like, "Oh, I have to do this." It wasn't like, "I need this." I think the most I ever felt that was when I wanted to be an actress, and I was running around Hollywood at 19, 20 years old, begging for everybody's, like, I fucking hated it though. I was like, I'm not cut out for this. I don't know how people do this.
Yeah,
I
rejection
just
every day.
oh, it's
Rejection every day.
I don't know how anyone does the acting. The acting thing is I have friends who've done it for 20 plus years and it is so demoralizing and I don't know. I have a lot of respect. At least with comedy, you still have autonomy. Like, you get up, no one can stop you in the middle of talking. I mean, they could, but not really.
Right.
That's and when I was running around trying to be an actress, which is what I loved and probably have more training than anything that I do now, I I couldn't deal with the rejection. I couldn't. It was like and then I was like, "Oh, I can just be a writer and write myself into stuff." I didn't know you could do that. So I
Right.
just leaned more into writing, but I did probably a year of auditions, and I was like, "I'm not cut out for this."
No. Most people aren't. I mean, but that
And I was a drug addict and, like, had
me
no
too.
center, and I was like, "This is I'm gonna end up dead."
Yeah. No, 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 me too. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't know who you are in this industry, which is, a lot of these actors that are out there with their fucking righteous bullshit, it's like they're only focused on who they are. They're not focused on what, other people's process is. But I think if to be able to have the confidence to even come out and admit that you're wrong about shit, like, I was wrong, like, I'm okay saying I voted for Biden, I was fucking wrong. I might be wrong about Trump too, that
Yeah,
I'm waiting for that shoe to drop, and I
I
have
am too.
no shame in any of it. But I think when we start out in our industry, like, if you were once a drug addict like I was when I was a kid, there is this sort of shred of, like, you know you don't, there's no self-love. But now
Yeah,
you're watching this, and believe me, after years of rejection and years of working on yourself, and especially when you're an actor and you have to study behavior all fucking day long, that's your job. You're learning about your own behavior and what people's, how their response to you makes you react, makes you feel all day. So you're always in this constant state of analyzing yourself and
yeah,
analyzing everything around you. It can make your head explode. But then you have kids, and then you're like, oh, like, I don't have to think about me anymore. I can just
yeah,
think about this. And that's how I feel about the world, really. I think I feel like I have no interest. Like, I feel like I'm settled down in the fact that I actually love myself. No one's going to fucking write a comment that's going to make me feel any fucking different. I'm not going to get bent out of shape. You can go fuck yourself. And I'm going to teach that to everybody I know if I possibly can. Like, there's everybody has their fucking insecurities. And I do too still, but I've walked through them all. And I think that this society right now, the way they're teaching kids to survive is by staying quiet, hating themselves, so they do stay quiet, or they're raging or whining about all of this bullshit ancillary stuff that is totally meaningless in life. They're not thinking about the core of who they are and their spirit and their soul. No connection to God, or it doesn't have to be God. It can be light. Let it just be something that has to do with the light and positivity and not this fucking dark entity of self-hatred.
Mhm.
Climate change is their fault. Racism's their fault. I mean, you can't have an opinion about about 12-year-olds transitioning when you're 12 years old. You're not allowed to even say, I don't think that a kid should be able to do that. I feel like that's
Mm.
like going to your mom and saying, hey, I feel really awkward in my skin right now and I don't really like it. So can you get me a bundle of heroin?
Yeah.
You'd be like, let me see if I can get you some fentanyl. Hold on, because I can get
Yeah.
you some medical grade fentanyl. Because if you feel awkward and I'm a good mom, I'm going to drug you so that you feel better while you're going through puberty and you don't even fucking know who you are yet. And society has told you you're bad because you didn't get this vaccine. And now
Yeah.
you have to go to school and get fucking sequestered on the other side of the school for not doing it. Like, that's what my kids went through. So I've been unraveling just even little bits of self-hatred because kids don't like themselves when they're turning 13. That's like a
No.
common fucking thing. Wait till your kid turns 13. I hated myself when I was 13.
I did
You
too. It's just a rite of passage. It's why there are all
know?
these, like, traditional, they do these, like, they have ways to document this and to celebrate it and to honor it in cultures because
And
it
it's
is such a huge
amazing.
transition. It's
Right?
like you can't escape the awkwardness of it. As
Yeah,
much as you might want to, you
I
can't.
know. And it's when my kids were turning that age, there was a rite of passage. For me, I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my baby right now. And then I
Mhm.
realized that they are more babies now than they ever were. Like they need me more now. You feel like you're losing your kids at that age. And then you realize, holy shit, they're so awkward and so confused and so in need of their parents. It's incredible, but they're being cool and they're being assholes. They're being cool assholes. And you're like, they don't like me anymore. But no, you just need to push through that rejection. They're rejecting you.
Yeah.
They're rejecting themselves. It's such a wild trip,
It's
man.
like toddler 2.0. It's just amazing to me how your toddler, you can be like, "Oh my god, you're driving me insane and I want to." Like, you are the most frustrating individual in the entire world, and then, like, 2 seconds later, they'll be like, "Mommy, I love you," and so cuddly and, like, needy.
Well, they're cute when they're toddlers. God does that on purpose. The
Yeah.
teenagers are got zits, their breath smells. You're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? But they're still cute to you.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like it's been such a weird I even talking about 2020 with people, I'm like, that was the weird we still have not really even gotten our minds around how weird of a year that was. An election, a pandemic. I mean, it will be reverberating for decades.
This is the most important time. My kids say this too. My daughter says it all the time. I mean, we're here for a reason at this time.
Mm.
She's like, I chose to come here for this shit. Like this is this is historical. This has never been. I mean, we're on the verge of, the collapse of a lot of really, really controversial, corrupt stuff. And let's see if it collapses or if it rises up. And let's see. Look, we're going to be holding everybody super accountable. I'm just worried about getting till January 20th to see if they're going to do the right fucking thing. I hope we make it that fucking far. And then when we get there, are they going to do the right thing? Or, some of these cabinet choices are definitely out there. So we'll see. We'll see where this shit goes. I can't wait for the mystery to unfold.
Yeah, I love it. Being the mystery.
It's a mystery.
I could talk to you forever about everything, but we're already at an hour. We'll just have to have you back to talk more, but we'll have you back after the inauguration and we'll chat more.
Yeah,
I
I'll
can't.
talk to you from China. I hope I'm not crowded
Oh,
in a room.
I don't think I'd be allowed. I really don't think I'd be allowed to go there because I have a whole segment on my other show, Dumpster Fire, called Get Wrecked China that we've been doing for like 5 years. And it's really just making fun of like China being China, and doing crazy, authoritarian shit. And I've definitely talked about the Uyghurs, and I'm like pretty sure I should never go there.
I am worried, but I know that my ex he's pushing for her to go because he thinks I'm paranoid. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to be the reason she doesn't go. But everyone's like, just
Yeah.
let her go without you. I'm like, but if I'm on a list, she's on a list.
I don't know about that. I don't think
She
so.
loves Chinese culture so much.
Yeah.
You
I
know, like,
mean, as long as you haven't publicly spoken out against them, I don't think you should worry. But if you have,
mouth almighty over here. I am
yeah.
mouth almighty, talk everlasting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be a scandal for them to, like, throw you in prison. Although I
Perfect
don't
jaywalk.
I just don't I've traveled around the world enough to respect that when you're not in America, no one really gives a shit. Like, they don't have to. I've been in so many other countries where Americans have been like, "Bleh," outraged about something. I'm like, no one fucking care. You're not in America. They don't have to care about you. They don't. It's a little unsettling. You don't have any rights. You have no rights.
No, I mean,
That's
I talk about the Cultural Revolution a lot, and I made fun of Kamala's posters forward, and I would always write the Great Leap before it, and then
I'm
post
sure
that.
you're fine, and maybe your ex is right, you're being paranoid, but I'm paranoid. I
I
wouldn't
am
I I wouldn't go.
scared, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, just go to like, should I just go I don't know, like India? So I'm just in the same area.
I feel like you're a big enough deal, though, that they couldn't really. I mean, I don't know,
I'm
they
not a big
disappear their own
deal.
billionaires. You're big enough, like, I'm worried because I'm not a big and no one knows who I am. I'm not, like, public. I'm like a public figure-ish, but not really. Not like,
I don't
you
know.
were
I
on
think
a.
they're watching fucking Sopranos in China.
But
I
I
don't
I
think
mean,
so.
I think you're like, there would be some kind of, like, global outcry if you like, if you went there, they put you in jail.
I
I
mean,
don't
if they
think.
can kill the president of Iran, I mean, what? I don't feel like I'm important enough, but who knows, man. But it goes both ways. I don't think I'm important enough for them to fuck with me. I don't think that I'm important enough for them not to. So
Exactly, that's how I feel. I
yeah,
feel like
it's just a one shot.
I'm not arrogant enough to think that they care, but I also know that I'm not a big enough deal that no one would really care if
Yeah,
they
I
did.
feel like that. I think I feel safe around Putin though right now. I feel like he wouldn't hate me. So
What a time. What a time to be
yeah,
alive.
it
Well,
really.
where can we find your stuff and you?
Um,
Wherever you're shadow banned.
I'm shadow banned everywhere. You have to type in my full name, Drea de Matteo, and it'll give you a warning sign before you enter my page because it's fucking insane. I never post anything that's not true, but they tell me that I do. That's my poem right there. Wow. And on Twitter, which is new to me, X, I still call it Twitter. It's still new to me. I mean, I always had a page, but I never used it. So I'm just starting to understand it. I would like to build my following there. And that's
Okay.
also at Drea de Matteo. Um, I don't, I'm still confused about the fact that we can't do stories and pictures as much on Twitter, like Instagram, because I'm like a fucking 2-year old.
Yeah.
And then our website is ultrafree.co. Ultrafree.co. The jewelry is like flying out of the little shop for Christmas because people really always want all my things. It looks really nice against some naked titties. These guns, right?
I want you to do like V-necks that have cleavage so that you can sponsor dumpster fire.
Oh, you know something? I'm gonna end with this. The last night I looked you up because I'm like I need to know if I have to keep my mouth shut and act like the biggest liberal of all time or if I can
No.
be myself. And then I got fucking sucked into the rabbit hole of watching all your dance videos. And I wanted to like them all because I was loving them and I was watching them all. And I was like, you think that if she wakes up in the morning and sees that she has a new follower that's liked every one of her dance videos and it was me that she'd want to cancel the fucking
No.
podcast today because I'm a
I'm
fucking lunatic.
so bad at Instagram.
I love your dance videos.
I do them to try and pump myself up for dumpster fire because I need, like, I don't have the same, it's, when I get on stage, I have adrenaline and I just need to, I guess I could be kind of flat and deadpan for dumpster fire, but it's not really my vibe on dumpster fire at all. It's always like I'm a little amped up about everything. And the whole point of it was to make fun of the parody news show. So it's like a parody of a parody news show. And just also they kind of taking my Twitter, now X, the voice that I use on that and trying to show, I'm like, I feel like if people heard the way I actually said these things, they would understand the tone of my Twitter more, because a lot of people are autistic and they take me literally and seriously. But it's very like faux outrage, like, what? Like how, and some
I
of it is real
understand.
outrage. But
I
I
get
needed to do
you.
those dance videos and people are like, why do you do them in a bathroom? Like, because that's where I do my fucking makeup. Like, I don't know.
I love it.
Thank you.
And you're also really cute little dancer too.
Thank you.
Music, and it was fun. I was like, I want to like it. I want to like it. I want to like it. She's gonna think I'm fucking insane if she wakes up to these.
I need a t-shirt sponsor. That's what I need in life.
We make the fucking t-shirts here. So
I need V-necks that I can wear, because I always have to find a fucking cleavage shirt for dumpster fire. And I'm like the kind of girl that loved going to schools where uniforms were required because I hate thinking about clothes. So I just need a hot V-neck, and I'm like, someone sponsor my show. I will promote your brand and send everybody in your direction. I just need a V-neck hot ass shirt that what?
We don't have any V-necks. You want
No, you have none. I need it out. That's like part of the
a lot of dudes, but a lot of tough chicks too. But yeah, because we don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We don't even know we make them here. We're
just
like making in a house.
I love it.
This is a fucking mom and pop over here.
You don't need to even sell them. Just make me 10 of them that I can wear to promote your brand, and then I'll drive everyone to your
print on the V-neck.
What?
You want to do a print on the V-neck?
I don't know. We should talk about it.
Okay, because it's hard to print a V-neck shirt. That's why we don't do them. You could do it. You could do it like a little dumpster.
I don't even need a print on them. I just need a good designed shirt. Like, I look at these streetwear brands that are advertised to me on Instagram, and some of them are, I'll send you something. I'll get your number. I'll send you something that I like, but it's like streetwear-ish, but it's kind of, I don't know. I want to partner with someone I like who has a clothing company that I feel like I'm always looking for a shirt, and I'm so tired of it. And I just want to have a brand that I work with that I can promote their brand. And they make shirts for me.
we don't have a t-shirt company that we like yet. Like, we use shells and shit, but we don't make the t-shirts.
Yeah.
We just print them.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk. Let's talk about clothes.
We'll talk about clothes.
Ultrafree.co.
Meanwhile, that was the ad for ultrafree.com.
Yeah. Oh, and the Twitter for Ultrafree and the Instagram for it is Ultrafree with 2 A's. And that we're so tiny, so just come and join and let it grow. And that's Ultra Free.
Okay.
The website's ultrafree.co.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
The check-in with Bridget and Cousin Maggie can now be found at PHETASY.com. It's been titled Another Round with Bridget Phetasy, and it's now in video.
This has been Walk-Ins Welcome with Bridget Phetasy. I'm Bridget Phetasy, and you're welcome. It's the dumbest line.